start up the show. Can you manage it? Thank you. All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to Good, Bad, or Bullshit, what I believe to be episode 213. And this is the place where conversation is the foundation for higher thought. I am your human bard of this program. My name is Bo Schwartz. And joining me today, as always, is our elf druid, or elfin druid, Michael Hodgins. Michael, hello.
It's wood elf.
Oh, wood elf.
I'm a wood elf.
Pardon me, Sarakalale. I think that's Elvish for I'm sorry. I don't know. And also joining us is a guy who hasn't made his character yet because he's a procrastinator and thinks someone will do it for him. I don't know his name because he doesn't have a character sheet, but this guy's here too. Welcome.
Hey, it's me, Crofton, and my character's name is Erasmus the Dazzler.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm totally leaning that way.
Okay.
I enjoyed last time we played that you were a halfling rogue because it seems appropriate. This time you should be a human rogue.
That also seems appropriate.
yes, it is.
Yeah. So we're gonna play D&D this weekend. We're starting a campaign. I joked that Bo was saying about Mike's class being potentially overpowered in the end game, and I laughed out loud, recognizing that the end game will be when my daughter goes to university or something.
Last time we played, and I think we played for a year, or was it? It could even have been two.
Yeah, maybe.
Out. We got to level 4, I think. It took a long time, and it was
good level.
Slow progress.
Yeah, no, it's
also
true.
The thing I remember about it was always almost dying, like really feeling like oh we're dead this time, and I think Bo, the dungeon master at that time, took pity on us and let us live a little bit.
Yeah, well, you got to put together a good narrative and always give your players an out. But I am not dungeon mastering. I get to play a bard, and I have the best cantrip ever. It's called Vicious Mockery. And it's basically I just shoot insults at people, and I'm hard at work writing limericks, because when I actually shoot it out, I'd like to say something insulting, hopefully with a sing-song voice, and hopefully have it rhyming. The best insults are that.
It's a lot of work on the fly.
Yeah, I might not be able to get it done for the first session, but yeah.
I really appreciate how you're doing all this sort of work to build up your role playing, and yet I'm still going to have a better character than you.
You say that, but I don't think so. It's
me, Bo. I'm what brings this party
together. Your character will think
also,
it's a better character, and that will be your character.
Can I just point out that this game isn't about being best character.
Yeah.
It's a cooperative game in which we should work together to overcome something.
That's true.
That's basically going to be my character in a nutshell. There.
Wow, you're really stretching.
Yeah, I know. Well, you got to play within your boundaries, right?
Yeah, you're like a Tom Hanks, a Tom Cruise type actor. Bo is the Tom Hanks.
I think I'm more of a
Tom Cruise.
Russell Crowe.
I'm Tom Selleck. Look, they have to be Toms. I don't make the rules.
Oh.
I was gonna say you should have picked Kevin Costner because nobody plays Kevin Costner better than Kevin Costner. I've noticed that. He plays that guy in every movie he's ever been in.
If you're Tom Cruise and he's Tom Hanks and I'm Tom Selleck, we could be a party and call ourselves the Peeping Toms.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
All right, just a thought.
I mean, it's nice. It's a nice confluence of coincidence, but ultimately, I don't want to be in a group of people known as the Peeping Toms. Although Mike, before the show, was complaining how we didn't have a cultural tribe to associate with. Perhaps the Peeping Tom tribe will be for him.
I don't think so, Bo. Come on. I was really, putting my heart out there to you that I'm of no culture.
But maybe you would find shared values. Peeping Toms aren't pedophiles.
Like sexual misconduct. Thanks.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll look into that.
It is sexual misconduct. That is true. But hey, all right. So do I segue here? Because I want to say, speaking of sexual misconduct. We get to a random topic,
but here's a machine that I've had relations with.
Well, I know that you
Nothing wrong with that. It's the way of the future.
All right, we're just going to segue now. I felt like Crofton had something he wanted to talk about, but maybe the moment's gone.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't see a good way that I could talk about me going to kindergarten orientation for my child with your sexual sort of deviance with regards to D&D. It
Yeah,
was quite.
you can't segue into speaking of sexual misconduct. Crofton, how was your visit?
How was your kindergarten orientation? I was like, yeah, no,
That's
it was
really
kind
bad.
of a sketch. So I was like, let's just go with the random
All right.
topic.
All right.
I'll have mercy on our listeners
Well,
this time.
has
We can
anyone
do
ever told
kindergarten
you?
orientation next time.
Has anyone ever told you how selfless you are and how much of a great quality that is in you and makes you great?
Don't go down this road.
I mean, it truly is astounding. But anyway, speaking of things that are astounding,
I've never met a finer man than Crofton Steers. Okay, let's move on.
We should rename this podcast Crofton and Friends.
all right, Mike, pull the random topic generator. There it is.
The topic today is conventions.
Oh, convention.
This is something I feel like Bo has lately been on a convention kick.
I went to one convention.
Two.
What was the other? Oh, it's true. It's 2 conventions. That's right.
Nerdtacular.
Nerdtacular, I guess technically a convention, didn't
That
feel...
is
what else
exactly
is it?
what it
It
is.
just felt like a really large family gathering.
Oh, isn't that
Oh,
sweet?
that's so
It's not
cute.
like... Because now that especially since that I've been to BlizzCon and saw the tens of thousands of people, I think attendance was reportedly 40,000. Nerdtacular is like 1,000 or so. It's not nearly as packed
Yeah,
full
that's
of people.
small town compared.
I mean, 1,000 is a lot. It's a considerable convention. It's unheard of, I think, in podcasting for sure.
but also like it's funny that you're like it felt like a small family. I'm like I know like 6 people. That's how many people I know. Basically, I'm like 1,000. I'm like I can't really do 1,000.
Yeah, like
people.
it's a lot of people, and there's a lot of people to meet, and it's overwhelming. But there were a lot of people that I'm going to remember longer, and have.
It was a
form more
a
meaningful
friendlier. It sounded like
relationships.
the scale was a lot
Yeah.
more intimate. That's a
Also,
That's
it's kind of unfair because I kind of went there as part of. Well, we're just jumping right into it. Remember, we got to give context for people.
conventions. What is a convention?
So what is a convention? It's fine. Convention is where a bunch of people gather to celebrate some shared interest. Could be movies.
Can we just say
comic books.
Comic-Con? Everyone knows what a
Yeah,
Comic-Con
yeah.
is.
So
It can be to celebrate a shared interest, but it can be for business reasons, like trade shows and they have like conventions for brands and stuff like that. Like
it's a confluence of people usually for the purpose of industry, whether it's entertainment industry or there's stuff for sale there. There's announcements about stuff that's going to be for sale, shit like that. For the most part, that's where I would say Frog Pants is like there's little people vendoring arts and crafts and things, but it didn't feel that way to me. And also, I was there as the difference was I was there as a Frog Pants host, which is kind of like what the show is, even though I would say I'm relatively minor on that scale.
you're a big man on campus.
I wasn't there as like someone who's like I just really love this Frog Pants content, so I'm going. I was there as like an invitee in a way, whereas with BlizzCon,
You weren't dressed as like
people
Uhura
didn't
at
fly
the Star
to
Trek convention.
people didn't fly to Anaheim to come see me. They went to go see Blizzard stuff. So, and take pictures with Ben Brode, like I did. Did I tell you guys I took a picture of Ben Brode?
told us
All
like
right, anyway.
8 times.
But the anyway, so that's it, it's kind of like also I'm biased because it just was different experience, I think. So, but anyways,
But
convention.
you're always going to be biased based on your personal experiences at conventions. One thing that I find really funny about conventions, when talking about it, is I have opinions about them, but I don't think that I've really been to, like maybe I've been to trade shows.
I don't.
but
I don't think
It's
that's
not the same thing, right? No, and this is the thing. I keep meaning to, like, every year Ottawa has like the city we live in has a Comic-Con and all that sort of stuff, and I'm like, oh man, I see photos from other people going. It looks like a lot of fun. There's a lot going on. A lot of stalls of stuff to sell. There's like a gaming one and all that stuff as well. And I think, oh man, I should go, but I have never been to one, so my opinion is not informed by experience. That's for sure.
But
Well,
it makes sense around the shared basic interest. And have you guys ever watched? Oh, I think I was talking to you about this. Kimmy Schmidt, the Unbreakable Kimmy
oh
Schmidt.
my god.
No, because
I'm gonna try and keep my patience. It's like
they're
the wackest television show ever. But anyways,
it's pretty
continue.
funny. But there was this bit
It's not
where
funny. I suffered through 6 episodes. It's like, what the heck? This is so bad.
Anyways, there was the Titus
it's
said
upsetting news
Ramadan
that you like
dates,
this show.
Just let me finish my thing. Dates this guy who's a construction worker, and he was gone to
All
the
right.
construction convention, con, dressed as. See, look, he's laughing. Bo's laughing. It
It's a
can't
good
be
one.
that bad.
It's good.
So he was at con, dressed as his favorite industrial adhesive or something like that, which was, and so also talked about when people go to these things, they're fans of it. You know, there's a lot of dressing up, cosplay as they call it. I mean, obviously, there's no con. That would probably be. I would be maybe likely to go to that one.
Wouldn't a con be for convicts?
Or
Convict
conventions.
convention, but do they have
Or a
conventions?
convention of people who like to go to conventions.
Con.
Right.
There could be lots of cons. That's why it would get confusing.
That would be
Anyway.
a great premise for a movie, that a con went to the wrong con because there's 2 cons going on at the same time in town, and money gets stolen. There's a plot for you. Let's go to Hollywood.
Yeah. I mean,
All
when
right.
I think of these things, I always think of Star Trek, Trekkie conventions, and I think of the broader. It's funny, Comic Cons, which are all over the place, which sort of are nerd, comic, movies, gaming, all kind of roll in together. But I think of like the Trekkie ones as having their own. It was like my first exposure to the idea of conventions was seeing. I think there was a documentary called Trekkies like years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it and being like, oh yeah, people are into this stuff, and you go and you
Because
know.
it uses the term convention. It's just funny because like there's shows like say the fishing and outdoor life show, and it's like it's like a trade show or whatever, but like
I've been to that.
fishing and people and enthusiasts will go to that. There's a pet show. There's a lot of these shows, but they're not branded as conventions,
Yeah, I don't
right?
think they are too, because there's so much about selling things or.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Like they're more about selling things, where the conventions are more about like bringing people together, having these panels and all that. And definitely, San Diego Comic-Con is one of the huge like markers in the gaming space. E3, the Entertainment Expo, is huge. And yeah, so there's a bunch of these like really, really big ones. And I'll be honest, like if you have an interest that aligns with these things, I've always been like tempted to go to some of these big ones where like, in the gaming space, there might be games available for play on the floor that are not released yet or in development. There might be panels with people who made them. And all that. Like I can totally see if you have a hobby that has a convention based around it, that you can really like get immersed in it, and also be surrounded by people that have this similar interest. So like I often make the joke about like, people going to meet people in a bar, and the only thing that they have in common when they see each other, aside from like maybe being physically attracted to each other, is they know they met in a bar. So if you don't like going to bars, but you go to bars to try to pick up ladies, well then you're sending right away a conflicting signal, because yes, it's possible that lady also hates going to bars, but is like looking at being like, oh, I'll go to see if I can meet a guy. But mostly if you see somebody in a location, the first thing you have in common is that location. So a convention is, you go there, you see someone, be it, a friend, a love interest, doesn't matter who, right off the bat, you have a foundation of commonality, right? And so that's attractive, especially for certain people that are trying to find, like Mike had just, we talked about Mike's culture thing before the show, but like the idea of searching for your subculture or searching for your group or your tribe or whatever. I mean, it provides a venue in which to do that.
But it's got to be more than just the venue, though, right? Like it's the content that's there.
Yeah, it's got to be obviously. But that's what I think Croft was talking about. That it's a shared when you go to the place, you know that the people there are like, hey, I also
Okay.
like this
Yeah.
stuff. You go to
Yeah.
a Star Trek convention, you're not gonna find that many people be like, I hate Star Trek. I just bought to come here so that I can
Wait, you
shit
like
on
Star Trek? You nerd? I hate you. I'm like, why are you here?
It's like,
You know,
I
like,
don't, yeah, I should go somewhere else. Like, exactly. You're not going to find anyone like that there. You're going to find people. You're going to find an echo chamber, is what you're going to
Yeah.
find, which is great sometimes. You want to just be around people who like the
Yeah.
stuff you like.
You go to a Trek convention and you say something like, I am curious, what is the etymology of that idiom? And people are going to be like, yeah! And if you do that over in the Red Oak, they'll be like, fuck you! And smash their mug over your neck or something. What'd you say, nerd? Yeah, I get it.
it's meeting, like, I mean, that's an extra of the conventions, because the reason you're drawn there is for, be it panels, be it scoops, be it shared experiences, be it whatever.
New friends.
You're drawn, dress and all that sort of stuff, but then you make it provides sort of the context for making friends a lot easier than it would be to find friends with those similar interests. Now, the internet enables a lot of that stuff. You can go into subreddits or whatever and find your different groups and try to organize things. But to
On
me,
a Reddit?
well, like, I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
It's like you gotta find your troll community somewhere.
yeah. You can find people online and say, like, hey, do you want to do a meetup for this or that?
Yeah, it's almost the reverse, where friends you've made that you're barred from, going out have dinner with, you can do in person for the purpose of a convention if you travel. Like you can go there to make friends, but you could also go there to deepen bonds you've already created thanks to the internet.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you see people that are, you've been in touch with people, and you go to a communal sort of convention. That said, like, that's the positive. It does seem like I'm attracted to things I like and then going to the convention. But then sometimes I think to myself, I'm like, what would I be exactly getting out of that convention? So, like, am I going to get, like, free stuff? Am I going to get, like, some sort of scoop? I gave the examples of playing games that are in development or whatever at a gaming convention. So there's a value add there for me. But the thing is, the bullshittery to get to those things, like maybe lineups out the door that start at 6 a.m. with people full of body odor and, like, just whatever. Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe that stuff is not worth it.
Who's your favorite actor that you'd want to meet?
Well, I'm having a hard time with Matt Damon right now. It's a long story. His views on the Me Too movement have been really troubling to me. So,
well, let's just pretend
it's Matt Damon.
That didn't happen. It's Matt Damon. Like, and if I said, "Hey, guess what? Going to dinner with Matt Damon. Do you and Jesse want to come?" And you're feeling pretty lazy, but you'd probably be like, "Oh shit, I need to hang out with Matt Damon. That's probably all right. I'm gonna make an effort." But if I told you, Matt Damon's coming to the convention, and a lot of times, especially the entertainment industry conventions and Comic-Cons, there's the slim chance to meet and or wait in a long line to get a picture, photo op maybe. And let's say Matt Damon's going to be at this thing in Ottawa. All you have to do is, drive or bus to the EA Center to go. Do you take a pass on it? Because there's some cool people that come every year here.
I've been lobbying for Damon Con to come to the EY Center for years, but it's
what do you like so much about? I mean, all right.
He's got some repressed homosexuality there. Just leave him alone. Don't make fun of him.
I got nothing against him, but I mean, he's not that great.
It would depend. Like, to answer your question, it would, if you were advertising, like, the actual opportunity to meet a celebrity, I've never really been big on it, and if it happened organically, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But the idea of going in a line and paying $50 and having somebody sign something because they were paid money to do it, and they're generally, let's face it, they're not Matt Damon. They're like Ensign, what's the guy, Beverly Crusher's son there?
Will Wheaton.
Yeah, but what's Will Wheaton?
Will Wheaton is amazing.
Wesley Crusher. That's
Wesley Crusher.
Like, so I can meet Wesley Crusher. Don't tell me Wesley Crusher doesn't go to conventions.
He didn't for a long time, and then he started to, and, like, he's eclipsed his Wesley Crusherdom. He's next level nerd. Like, he's a big time celebrity. You got to do a better example. You know who he needs to be? Who's the guy? Barkley from Star Trek. You remember Barkley, Mike?
Yeah.
Mike Barkley, like he's the he's
Yeah,
in
I
every
don't
now
know
and then
the
he's in an
actor's
episode and he's like super smart, but he's constantly
He's in a bunch of
messes up.
episodes. He was like a B-level character.
Yeah.
So
but
yeah, like I
he's-
don't want to like to go
it's
pay
like-
$25 in line to meet Barkley. Like, I'm
Ah,
like
there you go. That works.
it's
Thank
like,
you.
but even like a lot of at the conventions, a lot of it is like Patrick Stewart and Jean-Luc Picard. There are bigger names, and I can see the appeal. Like we have a friend, Mike Jason Pepe, who goes to those conventions all the time and posts all the photos with all these celebrities, and I'm often thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, like that, that seems like fun, but really it's just like a funny moment. You probably say 2 words. You're like, "Here's money," and then you
Yeah, but
move
you got
on.
to meet somebody who's culturally significant, and it's
Maybe, but
there's a
I'm
fun to
culturally
it. There's a fun to it. I know Mike is like, I feel like his soul fled. He's barely spoken, and every time I say the word celebrity or a celebrity's name, I see his like face just like I see pain. I can feel it in the force.
I don't understand this stuff. Like I just don't understand.
Okay, but
why,
let's
like,
get off
like,
the celebrity bit because it's about conventions.
Well, no, but you were just like talk about some actor you'd want to meet. I'm like, I don't want to meet an actor.
Okay,
Why do I want to meet an actor?
I know how you feel about celebrities.
Well, no,
it doesn't have to be
but I mean,
that
you're
at
trying
a
to
convention.
You just crapped on me for not talking and not letting me talk. So I don't really understand it and all this stuff. Like I don't understand why, if you enjoy something like a movie or a series of comic books, or game, and I do enjoy lots of those things. Like
What about boating?
I used to be a Star Wars fan before Rian Johnson destroyed it for me. But even so, I call myself a Star Wars fan. I'm like, if Mark Hamill, who I'll be like, yeah, I like Luke Skywalker, was here in Ottawa at Comic-Con, I'd be like, I'm not gonna go meet him. Like, why would I? I'm like, I like Star Wars. I appreciate that he acted in it. I don't. Why am I going to meet him? Like, I'd be like, what was Tatooine really like? I mean, what I'm interested in is like a story that captures me at some point or another. And I'm like, the actor who played them, all that's going to do is burst a bubble of any kind of escapism I've had. I'm like, I don't want to meet the people who behind the scenes of something. I just don't understand it. Like,
yeah, and so we know that, and we've talked about celebrity a lot in the show. And I did ask you, so I don't mean to be rude, but I kind of
sorry, but fuck off now.
But I don't want to go.
Awesome.
I don't want to spend 20 minutes talking about how you hate celebrities and think that stuff is dumb, because you've said it, you've covered it. But I do want to hear from you about what kind of a convention would you want to go to? What do you like enough that it would be of interest to you to meet like-minded people? A podcasting convention?
I don't think like.
What about?
I think I'm the wrong person to ask about this because I think I'm just comfortable kind of being.
No wonder you don't have a tribe or a culture. You're like,
yeah,
I
like,
could meet people that are into the same
culture,
things as me. Fuck no.
What? Stop interrupting me. You wanted to hear my opinion because I was thinking about that. I'm like, what convention would I go to? And I'm like, I don't think I go to one. Like, I'm just like, because even stuff like, because it occurred to me that there are writers conventions, and I'm like, I used to be into writing, I still dabble a little bit, but I'm like, I wouldn't go to a writers convention. I'm like, I don't really care about meeting any writers. I mean, I do it because I enjoy the process. I don't expect to be a famous writer or probably even publish anything at this point in my life. But that's not why I'm writing something. I'm like, what am I going to go to a convention for? To be like, hey, look at this person who's been successful. Well, I have not. I'm like, what's that going to do for me?
But what about process rather than celebrity? Like, what about because writing? You say writing, and these aren't conventions, but they do have like I think at NAC and stuff, like these week-long like writer workshops or places you can go, like you can audit. Is that anything like that? Like, it's not quite convention, but those can be features of conventions. Panels. Like, let's do a panel about how hard is it to write science fiction in a saturated market. Would you ever want to go hear a talk?
Like, well, the thing is that these things all exist already. Like, I mean, I don't know why I'd go to the thing when I can just listen to a podcast, or there's so much content available that I'm just like, I'm interested in ideas and information constantly. And I've been talking recently, I'm into this Sam Harris podcast, and I like the stuff he's into. He talks about, and he does the live shows, and they have an interesting conversation, a good debate. And I'm just like, would I go to that? I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, what am I going to do? Sit in the audience? I'm like, what I'd like to do. The worst part is, and I think Crofton was saying this a little bit, where I just don't have this view of people being sort of above me. And I don't mean that in the sense that I like, and I don't, joke about Crofton being a narcissist, and I don't think that's actually the case. I think it's a persona, and myself as well. Like, I'm just definitely not a narcissistic place, but like something like Sam Harris, like I could listen to his podcast and hear him have a conversation, or our podcast for that matter, right? And I would enjoy doing that. But to go and sit in an audience and listen to it, I'd be interested in having a conversation with him, or anybody else who I thought was an interesting person. But you're not going to ever get that at a convention. At a convention, you're going to get, or any sort of those venues, you're going to get thousands of people who are like, hey, put your arm around this person, and then leave. I'm like, well, why? Like, what am I going to get out of that? I'm like, if I could have a conversation with someone whose work I admired, I'd be all into that. That's not a convention, and you know that, Bo. It's super actually surface.
So
because you who are a B-level internet celebrity, and that's a compliment, by the way. Don't take it disparagingly. Went to a convention and lots of people knew you, and you were like, "Oh,
you're B-level."
That's pretty good, Bo. I'm a like X level.
I would go at least like D level, maybe.
D? No, I'm way further down than that. But it'd be like you who said who potentially you people who like the work you do. I think you're a talented guy. I can understand when people be like, "Hey, Bo, I love what you do." But you said there were like too many people to talk to. You felt bad to some extent. You couldn't give people the attention you wanted. Now imagine you're like Patrick Stewart, Jean-Luc Picard himself, who's probably a nice dude. And if you got to talk to him, it'd probably be pleasant. He can't talk to 30,000 people. It's impossible. And I'm just like, what am I going to get over there and be like, oh my God, I touched the sleeve of his Armani jacket. I'm like, who cares? I don't understand that.
Let me say this. You're absolutely right about everything except the B level. I'm not a B level. I think I'm D, like Crofton said.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. A B is like, I mean, like you have like your A-listers, and like B, I'd put like the Critical Role, like the YouTube.
Yeah, but I also, Bo, I said B level internet celebrity. Once you're an internet celebrity, you're already down at like E.
I don't think you understand what being an internet celebrity means. I don't think you appreciate how some internet celebrities are more famous than like Brad Pitt or whatever in this day and age.
Who? I know who Brad Pitt is.
I know that you don't know because you don't barely touch computers.
But that's what I'm saying. But yeah, I know who these other people are.
Look,
anyways, let's not.
But hang on, I didn't finish. Hang on, I need to finish. I need to review.
Oh God damn it!
I didn't. He's distracted me with argumentations, but I agree with Crofton. D level, maybe E. But like, what I was going to say is the one thing that you're missing about all of this, that maybe because you don't go isn't there, because all of the things that you said are true about my experiences as we've talked. Was just like, I don't have enough time with people. I felt bad in a lot of situations where it's like, hey, how's it going? I got to go. But there's an instinct in humanity to undergo pilgrimages. And the thing I've learned, and I've never traveled anywhere. I haven't even traveled locally to go to conventions until this year. And the thing that is interesting is that the journey to the place that you go and then have it be a thing, there's something to it, and it could just be a serotonin thing or whatever, but there's something to the idea of making a pilgrimage to something that matters to you. Now, I'd never go to Mecca or any spiritual place because I'm an atheist and I don't do that kind of stuff. But I'm sort of realizing the value of if someone has like shared interest in like art or in any of the things you do, it's kind of pleasurable to make the pilgrimage, even though it's like a huge hassle to get on a plane and pack bags and stuff. Anyways, I just want to throw that out there. And it's like a lot of people might not get anything,
like that idea.
But they're coming to, it's some sort of spiritual thing to go to a Trek convention halfway across the globe because that's the one.
It's not just that, though.
No, but
it is. I do see that element of that, though. Like going to E3, going to the San Diego Comic-Con. Like if I was going to that would be, in a way, sort of how I think about. Look, it's like I was telling all my listeners at CroftCon last week.
That's you and your wife and your kid?
See, the thing is like when you look at the appeal, you dissect the appeal of conventions. You look at it from, say, first the people that would create a convention. So let's go with a smaller one like the Frog Pants one that Bo went to. Like, let's say GBB was this huge hit. We had a ton of fans. We keep getting letters all the time. We're just like, we're dealing with the Twitter. We're dealing with all this stuff. At one point, we selfishly, except maybe Mike, would want to engage with our fans in some way or provide engage with them in a live capacity, both in terms of a brand building exercise, because it's truly what it is, but also in terms of just like meeting some of these people that have been supporting us and love what we do. So I totally understand the appeal from the convention creator side of things, Also, on the pure selfish level, it's a big ego stroke because you're at this convention that is essentially designed to worship the stuff that you do. Now, I know it's a partnership. I know there's a lot to it. It's much more complicated than that. But at its core, these people are all united as fans of you and the stuff that you do, right? Or the stuff that we would do in this case, or what you guys do with me. So I get that. But on the user side, I totally get Bo's pilgrimage analogy. The idea like that this thing, or be it an entertainment property or whatever, is such a big piece of my life. I spend so much time, listening with it and engaging with it, that I am going to make the efforts to unite with other people that feel as strongly about it as me. And there's an appeal to that. I totally get it. I'm not a convention person. I know it. Just because I look at all these things and I think about it and I'm like, oh, maybe I'd go to that. Oh, Comic-Con's in Ottawa. I like a lot of that geek stuff. Maybe I could find some old comics. But I don't go. I don't go. So I'm clearly not a convention person. Sometimes I'll see the lineup and I'll be like, hey, those are kind of neat celebrities, but I don't go. But does that mean that I begrudge the existence of conventions or think that they're a bad thing for all the people that do like them? I don't know. They're still kind of bullshitty in many ways. Their raison d'être, their reason to exist is nebulous and depends on convention to convention. But there's a lot of people that really, really love them, and I don't see really what, aside from my personal annoyances of going to one and being like, oh God, there's so many people, fuck, get off of me, whatever. I know I'm Crofton. Besides that sort of stuff, I don't know what would be bad about the convention, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's mainly, I think it's a big hassle to go and to uproot yourself. And I think it's like a lot of things. When you're not in the habit of doing something, then you don't do it. So you don't see its value. You don't feel it. You don't have that, push to go. So, because there are a lot of negatives to keep in mind with it. There are, like you said, oh, everyone's crowded around me. There are points where it's too crowded and there's too many people and it's irritating. But there's kind of this feeling too at the end of a really big con where it's like, oh, it's so quiet. Where's everybody? There's a sadness to it as well. I wanted
coming down or something. But
in Mike's Star Wars thing, when you were talking about your hatred for Rianne Johnson, and you were saying, but it made me think. It made me think about how you really wanted to see Star Wars with Bo and I, because you knew that we were huge Star Wars fans, right?
Well, more that we're friends and we like the thing.
Yeah. Well, that we're friends, but also no, that's
sort of.
No, not. It's not. It's we're the friends that share cultural values.
We're friends that share that interest. Sure. I have a lot of friends that I would go see Star Wars with, and there wouldn't be that sort of whatever conversation afterwards that could be deep into the nerd realm or whatever. And Star Wars has a big convention, and in which they sometimes will screen a movie or an episode of the Clone Wars or whatever, that sort of stuff. And then, I get it's for the most passionate, it's for the biggest, hugest fans, and it's taken up a huge part of their lives and stuff. But then it's they have these, that everybody who's sitting down and you talk, it has that shared cachet, and you can talk to them afterwards and say hey, wasn't that cool and all that. And it's just sort of like an unspoken language that's in the convention. I can totally appreciate that, because as I get older, my interests become more and more niche, or more like like Bo and I both like video games, but do we like the same video games? Not really, and a lot of stuff like that, right? So it splinters, and conventions kind of unite in groups in that way.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking, because some of these things, though, like you can't talk about this stuff to me without talking about fandom to some extent, because that's what these things are. You're a fan of something, you love something. There's a culture is built up around it, and being someone I've consumed a lot of entertainment products and like books, and I was recently loving Game of Thrones is a huge thing. I don't know if there's conventions around this stuff yet, but I feel like it's only a matter of time. Are there, Crofton? You know about this? Are there?
There are Game of Thrones conventions.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. So
is there? I thought it was just general ones. Is there a specific Game of Thrones convention?
I don't know.
Everyone's Googling it.
Yeah, Googling it. The first one that came up was Con of Thrones.
Con of Thrones. So, okay, so just using that as an example, but Harry Potter maybe is another good one. That has. I
guarantee that as a convention.
Yeah, that has a lot of fandom around it, and
who has a big convention here in Canada? Doctor Who. They bring out all their homemade Daleks and have like a Dalek fashion show.
Okay, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna pick one that I personally haven't. So Harry Potter is maybe a better one. It's been around long enough that there's for sure a convention somewhere about that. Well, I read Harry Potter books. I love those books. Like, actually, it's funny. I never finished the series, but when I first like sat down with the first book, they were just coming out. Right, it was only 3 books in. I was like, this is great. I loved it. Second book, I loved it. Third, I've loved all the ones I've read, and at some point I'll go back and reread them all the way through. I realized, like, I read them, I guess maybe I wasn't as young as, say, when I was into Star Wars, which I feel like I have more of a fandom about me about it. But I realized, like, reading that or consuming any of these things, it's a personal experience, right? Like, when you read a book and you love and you like it, that's something that's happening in my head alone. In a room, I don't mind talking about the book or what I thought of it with someone else who's interested. I'd be happy to have a conversation about characters or whatever. But beyond that,
you watch a movie, you're in a theater with like.
Yeah, but it's still a personal thing. Like when I'm in a movie, I don't really care that I've watched lots of movies alone, and I
care.
I don't so much. But so the thing is, what I find happens, it's like so you like a thing, and then it's like you want more. You don't want the thing to end. I'm sure you guys have all had this, but like I feel like with these 1 or 2 of the Harry Potter books, when I got to the end, I was like, oh, I want more. Or it's any other book that you're really in, or thing.
Then I quit the series. Fuck that.
It was just too long between them. Same thing with Game of Thrones now, where I'm like, damn, George R. R. Martin, he's gonna be dead. It's never gonna be finished, and. So the thing is, you want more, right? And it's like, but it's a finite thing. You had it's like an emotional experience. I was sad when I finished reading Lord of the Rings the first time. I'm like, oh, I want more. That's it. And it's like, I feel like it's a desire for this thing that you had a personal experience for, which was a solitary experience. Consuming entertainment products mostly are. Gaming maybe is a little bit different. And then you want more of it. So you're like, you can keep reliving this thing. And it's kind of like, it's like nostalgia. We were just talking about that. And I feel like that's kind of what these conventions are. It's this thing that you loved. It resonated with you at some point, and it's become embedded in you. You go to this thing, you dress up as the character. It's like,
you celebrate.
Like, yeah, but I would
celebrating, but like when we were talking about nostalgia being potentially a negative thing, and I think that there's a component of that where it's like when you consume the stuff and it resonates with you, it's in and of a moment, and then it's like you can't let go. And I feel like that about some, entertainment products that I have read and liked and loved, but like Star Wars, I feel like that really right now a lot about, because it's the one I was most into, and now feel like I've been really hurt by the last one because it wasn't like what I wanted. And I'm like, but you go to the convention, it's like you want to relive the thing. Like I've walked around in, being an adult, thinking in my head, I wish I had a lightsaber and just pretending to be like a Jedi, because you're into this stuff. But I'm like, it's a personal, almost a private thing. And I'm like, I I'm just a bit of a solitary person,
but-
so maybe I don't get anything about going to the thing and being like, let's all pretend together and relive this glorious past when we love this thing. And it's like nostalgia in a place.
I think you're underestimating a little bit though the engagement part that you can do. Like, I mean, if you're a fan, if we're talking about like, you know, fictional works that really resonate with people, you know, you don't just spend your time reading it. You might spend your time, like, if you're doing a crochet of a diorama of Game of Thrones characters, it's like, that's a creative endeavor that's worth someone's time. Like, you can stay engaged in the content and create your own content. You might not be a show writer or can't create your own fan series on YouTube necessarily, but you can write your own fan fiction. The costume stuff, like, you might disapprove of it, but at the same time, these are people putting creative practices in use to create things, and they're works of art. They don't need to justify their existence, even if they are cribbing a commercialized product, and you'd say something original would be much better. It's still not unworth someone's time to spend practicing their art, using it. Like, we all stand on the shoulders of great ones. So if you wanted to make a costume and the costume you wanted to make was Overwatch characters, that doesn't actually devalue your effort in making those things. And certainly some of these cosplay things that are a frequent show at entertainment style conventions are incredible, and they're super fun.
They are, but again, it's around. See, because I would differentiate that from something like, say, LARPing, which I've never tried or been into. But like LARPing seems to me like it's like D&D, but you act everything out and you make costumes and you build these stories. That, I think, is like, you know, that's a creative endeavor. You're building something new that's a personal experience. Yeah. But this whole, like, you know, you're like, it's driving someone's creativity to make this new thing. I don't really see it that way. I see that all that stuff, it's like, I mean, you going back to your analogy about the paying homage, it's like that. It's like preying on a thing. It's like this thing that you're becoming obsessed with and you can't let go. And I always think of this example. I had this, my uncle was married to this woman when I was younger, and she was a big Star Wars fan. I think I've mentioned this before. And she rewrote the entire Star Wars trilogy with herself as a character who was a love interest for Luke Skywalker.
That's awesome.
And even, no, it's not awesome.
It's awesome. I mean, it might not have been well written.
When I was 17, I realized that it was not awesome. I was like, this is kind of sad.
No, it isn't
Star Wars
sad.
is great,
You're
and
wrong.
I love Star Wars too.
You're wrong about this. Completely.
I don't think I am.
It might have been terrible. I think you're mistaking the fact that it's terrible wish fulfillment and bad writing with the fact that she went out and did something she thought was cool and creative. That's a good thing. And you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And that's...
I'm on Team Bo on this one. Honestly, like I think you're ascribing too much negativity to the celebration of you know, things that we find, be it entertaining or that mark us, be it emotionally or whatever. And yeah, with anything, it's possible to obsess and to be like crazy too into it and not be able to, you know. But I don't think that the most people who go to these conventions are those people. I think that they just are really into this thing and enjoy celebrating it. Maybe there's part of like not wanting it to end in a way or whatever, but I mean, I don't think that that's the main crux of it. I think it's really getting together and celebrating something, and I see that mostly.
Yeah, I mean, positive. I think the nostalgic connection is pretty dominant. With this stuff.
Did we say nostalgia was overall bad? Like, I mean,
well, I know Crocs lean that way.
But I don't see this necessarily as nostalgia. Like, yeah, it can't be celebrating something.
How's it not?
Childhood. Nostalgia, like, is like you're looking back at something from a long time ago. If I read a book or get into a game that year, one that I may still be playing, and then I go to a convention for it, I don't think that's nostalgia.
Yeah, or like even in the case of Star Wars, there's new content, even if not movie content. There's new
Star Wars. I get like novels, Star Wars definitely.
There's novels
I get it
and comic books and role playing games.
No, there's new content, but for someone like me personally, it's nostalgia.
Yeah, okay.
Like that's the key on that. But like if I go to BlizzCon to see the latest Overwatch shit, it's not nostalgia. It's like because I'm into Overwatch right now. You know, like that's.
Yeah, but you're teasing them apart, and I understand that. Yes, yeah, and I guess maybe we should take a step back. A lot of these conventions are about current, upcoming, current community building. That's for sure true, and that's not nostalgia. I agree 100%. But some of these other ones definitely are, like where it's like, oh, I've always loved this thing. It doesn't exist anymore. I'm gonna go to the. I want to see Captain Kirk. It's original Star Trek. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is, and again, it's not even that it's bad, but I'm just a little bit like, it's interesting how it's like attachment. It's like a Buddhist thing. Like you have to let go of these things, and I felt that a little bit with Star Wars recently, where it's like, I love this thing, kind of have to let go of it because it was making me feel bad and sad when this latest movie did some things that really I didn't want, and I'm like, why am I feeling bad about this? This is stupid. I have this attachment to something George Lucas made up. I liked it. That's great.
What stage of
that's
grief
it.
is
that
this?
not enough? And for me, I think there is a little bit that where it can be enough to be like, you can watch something, you can see someone's creative work of art and be like, I love that. That was great. And I'm not going to dwell on it. And I just feel like you can get mired in this stuff.
But is that better than enjoying it and being like, I want to celebrate it? It's like, what's better is to just enjoy it and then put it aside. That's what's better. I don't know that that's what's better.
Yeah, I think that might be your preferred way to engage with content, but I think objectively speaking, there's got to be, it can't be all or nothing is what I'm saying. Like, I agree with you that, like, there's some bad writing. Fan fiction and fan content is well known for its kitschy, terrible, tacky, like it's rife with that. But what's not tacky is like people being passionate about pretty peaceful things on the whole. Like we talking about conventions and we're focusing in celebrities. But it's like there's another kind of convention. It's called a fucking gun convention where people go and celebrate their right to shoot people. And it's like, that's a convention too.
Wouldn't that be a gun show though? Like we sort of talked about that earlier. It was like with the,
I don't know. Are we strictly focusing on entertainment properties? I wasn't aware.
No, but I mean, I guess you're right that there are like, I don't know if it's firearm conventions or there like might be a hunting or something that brings together a group of people.
It called as a gun convention. I guess a gun show is more colloquially acceptable or the proper vernacular, but like
it's just the difference between something that's about doing business and selling stuff to people and something that's about like.
But they all are, right? At the end of like there's
They are, but some it's on the premises, whereas something like a Star Wars convention is more about getting you engaged with the brand to buy tickets to the latest thing, right? Or to participate, to go out and buy action figures. Yeah, you might be able to buy some things on site, but a gun show or, is about
guns
like
at a gun show.
Yes, every kiosk would be selling different shit. It's like a bit. You have to get you come in and you can buy whatever everywhere.
We could dice it up that way, but I still think it's a congregation of people with a shared interest. Coming from miles around.
I'll be honest, for me, it makes a big difference, and because I've been to actually a lot of trade shows, which is what a gun show is, and I have very strong opinions.
But these
those
comic book like conventions, they're trade shows too for that industry. It's just the entertainment industry eats up more media time and attention, right? Like you don't see who's cosplaying at the gun show over on Kotaku. It's like it's just a different beast, but there's still conventions, but it's the one that's most prescient in our minds because we engage with it regularly on our social, like where we're seeing content. But the only time we ever hear about a gun convention is when they're selling guns to people they shouldn't be selling them to. So
it's another McCree at the gun convention. Surprise.
It's high noon.
All right. So... I'm more or less ready for verdicts on this. I know it's tough to tease apart, but like I think that sort of says something about the nature of the topic anyway.
I'm curious. I think we should establish it because I feel like it is a delineation that we should marker for our verdicts. No?
What are you talking about?
Well, is it just entertainment properties, or are we talking about any kind of gathering for?
No, but I mean, like
it's any type of convention, just not trade shows. That's the thing.
Yeah, the trade show thing gets a bit.
There's I got one just to talk about. I can't believe I forgot these ones. Political conventions. so the like the big ones in the American political season is like the DNC, the Democrats, and the Republicans have their giant conventions. This is where they have a lot of speeches from significant party luminaries, and then the speech of honor is delivered by whoever is their candidate for president, right? So at the Democratic one, it was Hillary Clinton, and then the last one, and then it was Donald Trump, and the other one. And those ones are so big they're televised or whatever, and they bring together all the people that are registered sort of party members and this and that. So, but again, at their core, they serve the same purpose: bringing together people of a similar interest to celebrate their values and beliefs, and sort of like adhere from the notable figures in their group. So it's the same. Like you go to a BlizzCon to hear from the Overwatch game designer. Well, you go to a Republican convention to hear from the head of the Republican congressional the head of Congress, the head of the Senate. You might hear, this is your chance to hear the speeches from those figures. So even though it serves different purposes a little bit, to me, I don't see it that much different than the video game stuff or the comic stuff or anything like that. No. Doesn't really change my opinion.
Good one. Yeah. Let's move into verdicts.
All right. Let's move into the verdicts. Let's bring in the animals. One might say that the animals are a convention for our verdicts. One might say
verdict. And
order, I said.
Before we get into verdicts, I can't believe we made it through this whole show. I wanted to make a point to bring it up. Is asking Crofton, because we all know the con that Crofton would go to. It would be CroftCon. and we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, he did. He was basically
I made
like
that joke earlier.
Yeah, he talked
said,
about
you
it.
guys, I was talking at CroftCon.
He talked.
You said that?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I blanked.
And
out.
he
Thanks
also
for
said,
listening to me, Bo.
Well, you guys go on for long periods of time. I have to take mental breaks.
He's like CroftCon. How about that, huh? How about that?
There's
so
so much to respond to at the end of what any of us says, and it's like I need to start writing notes down so I can pay attention.
All right, who wants to go
I'll
first?
go first. I will.
Go for it.
So conventions. I'm just gonna say conventions are bullshit. And the reason I say that is, first off, I'm not generally interested in conventions, so I don't have a personal draw towards them. However, I think that if I went to one or the other in the right circumstance and all this on a topic that I liked, I'd probably have a good time. So it's not like I'm like, oh, I will never go to a convention, but they've never drawn me enough for me to want to go. So, I mean, that says something right there. I appreciate the fact that a lot of people do want to go, and that it's a great way to sort of, celebrate, be it your fandom, your political affiliation, whatever, to meet sort of like-minded people. It's great to meet people of different viewpoints, obviously, all the time, but like it's neat to have an avenue to meet like-minded people. I like Bo's pilgrimage analogy for some of these big conventions, but at the same time, like there's a lot like conventions are big, loud, noisy, smelly. The return on what you get for all the effort you put to going there, I see as being lower and lower, especially with a lot of the big conventions being streamed online, where you don't have to go through all these hoops to see a 2-minute trailer about an upcoming property that you may be interested in, right? Like, I do understand the appeal. It's not appealing to me. Personally, there's a lot of messiness surrounding conventions, a lot of loud noises, probably bad environmental impacts if I wanted to pick it apart even further. So because of that, I'll just say that they're bullshitty. So bullshit.
Okay. You want the bullshit sound again?
No, it's okay. I got it. I'm good. You guys.
I gotta go next because I did host the show and I'll be doing the thing after, and that's how we organize the show. So I will let Mike have the last word, but I will say, just answer this for me, guys. As I lean
We're
into
done.
my
This
verdict.
is verdicts.
No,
now.
I just need to know: have you guys been to conventions, or am I the only one who has been?
If only we had talked about this
I
on
know,
the show
we
earlier.
did.
Oh wait, we did.
We did, but I want to confirm it because I'm like, so here's the thing: is call you guys out a little bit and being like, Crofton, you know how much I skate. I think the last person interested in skating or wanting to hear opinion on skating is going to want to listen to me about skating. And I know we have to talk about the things, even if we don't know a lot about them on the show. But I would say...
Yeah, Bo, because honestly, if you were limited to stuff you knew about, you can talk about shit on this show.
Well, it just so happens this week I'm bringing it up, and I'm saying you feel free to shoot that back to me another week in retribution. But I will say, having been to 2... in the past year, because I'm not a big expert either in that sense, that I would hold the same opinions as you, but having experienced it a bit has softened my view somewhat. So if I've been argumentative this show, particularly with you, Mike, I do apologize. But I actually think conventions are good when they're for you. I think we talked a little bit, I went to BlizzCon. Like, if it's for something you're not interested in, you're going to hate it more than life itself. But you would do yourself a disservice to roll them all up together. And I think it's because Nerdtacular was just way more awesome for me than BlizzCon, because really Nerdtacular was about a shared smaller community, and I sort of had a bit of expectation with that BlizzCon, but there were so many people already in their groups that it just felt a little disjointed or disconnected from it. But it was still cool to go. That being said, I think all the disadvantages you guys have surmised are probably true about it being stinky and packed. So I don't know. I feel like I need to go to more conventions before I actually can give a proper verdict on this. I feel a little iffy, but I'm not going to cop out and give it a bullshit verdict. I'm going to give it a good bullshit, a good verdict, because I remain hopeful that I'll have, when I go to the next convention, a convention after that, I will have some positive experiences that make it worth it. But it's not something I'd ever want to do on a weekly basis. Like, once or twice a year is more than enough.
A good verdict, also known as a Bo cop-out.
Hey! It's not a cop-out. I'm feeling good about conventions, so...
You feel good about everything. All right.
I didn't feel good about Last Jedi.
I'm gonna enjoy this a little bit because I've decided on what my verdict was quite a while ago, and Bo, who wanted to like crap on Crofton and I for not knowing anything about a thing, which Crofton rightly threw back in his face, but I'm gonna say, because my verdict is good for conventions. Good.
Ew! This is interesting. It's like a heel turn.
And so the reason, so it was satisfying to do that because Bo had clearly assumed it was going to be bad or whatever. This one, I feel like I was a little bit, when I decided, I was like, no, I'm going to say they're good, was that I was like, I have to pull, okay, I hate conventions. I do not like them. I will never go to them. I don't understand them. I don't know why anyone would write fan fiction or dress up as some character of a thing they liked. I don't understand it. I have a clear, strong bias against them, and I'm trying to temper that and be like, okay, like, they're not for me. I get it. They're really not, and I don't understand it. I'm comfortable being a loner. I'm comfortable doing my own thing, and I don't need community around the stuff I like. I like it, and I'm happy with it. I don't care what anyone else thinks. That's it. That's where I am. A lot of people like this stuff. Am I going to say they're all idiots because they're not like me? There's a lot of people not like me. And they're more or less benign. It's like, if you want to go and celebrate Star Wars, like, okay. You want to dress up like Boba Fett? I'm like, you like it? Okay, well, have fun, I don't know. I feel like I'm a curmudgeon on the show. I can't bring myself to be like, look at all these people having a good time in something they like and be like, they're all a bunch of idiots. I don't think that. I think they're having fun. They're doing what they like. I mean, yeah, and my bias is so strong that even a bullshit verdict from me is clearly so biased it's not worth the spittle it spat out on. So I'm just gonna say it's good. People like the things. If you like them, have fun.
Carpe diem, right?
Holy shit, that might be Mike's most mature verdict I've ever heard.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I'm
Learn from me, Crofton. Maybe you'll have one day too.
Maybe I'll have you speak at CroftCon. But
Do a panel.
You'll be on the Crofton aggrandization panel.
What it's like giving one mature verdict out of 213 verdicts.
Yeah,
I've had some. I like some of my verdict. Come on, guys.
Oh, I'm just doing a bit. We're all Crofton's doing a bit too, but
Okay, do the outro bit now.
all right.
Yeah, that bit.
All right. Thank you so much for hanging in for our bits. This is actually a pretty entertaining episode. If you'd like to send us an email with your thoughts on conventions or the pronunciation of Ryan Johnson to help clarify for these boobs, you can do so by emailing us at goodbadbull@gmail.com. And if you're listening to the show on Twitch or somewhere it's audio but you don't have it, go to goodbadbull.com. That's where you can sign up and subscribe to the show. Find our links to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. And, if you want to like us on Facebook and Twitter to find out stuff from us, go ahead and do that. And that's pretty much it. And now, this is the point of the show where we thank our patrons profusely for helping to fund the show, keep us on the air, so to speak. We really appreciate the support. If you've been listening to the show and want to support us for what is arguably less than half a cup of coffee a month, and pretty soon with the increase in minimum wage, at least here in Canada, it'll be a quarter of a cup of coffee a month, you can do so at patreon.com/goodbadbull. It actually makes a big difference to help us keep the show on the air. We really appreciate not having to pay for stuff. It's good. So please come help contribute. Thank you to the folks who do and your continued support. All right, finally, if you want to find out more about our individual projects and what we're doing, what conventions we'll be attending, you can do so by following us at our individual social media places. Mine is Bo Schwartz. Crofton, if our listeners want to find out more about where they can find you, where can they do that?
If they want memberships to the 35th annual CroftCon, they can reach out to me at Crofton Steers on Twitter.
Sweet. And Michael, if our listeners want to find out more about you, where can
Diamond
they find you?
anniversary.
I think that's 75.
Shut up, Hodgins.
Yeah, my Twitter's is at ML Hodgins. You can probably follow someone else's account. It'll be more interesting than mine.
Well, all right. And
Hard sell.
I'm kind
I
of
don't
hoping
tweet much, Come on, what's Twitter all about? This
we
stupid
don't have
spam
a large
that's every
enough.
month.
We don't have a large enough listener base to warrant this at this point. But I would
To
really
be
love
fair,
to
I don't think I've got one listener from our pitch of Twitter account at the end, or one follower.
But I would. Yeah, it's true. We should get rid of it. Actually, it takes up a lot of time.
Twitter?
Yeah, but
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I've gotten a follower before based on it, but if
probably
so,
have.
write us a letter.
Monica, we've had people, Wicked Kitten and Clown Baby and stuff like that. We got some decent followers out of this.
Oh, that's true. Maybe.
Yeah. You're just feeling down. We do this show Thursday nights. It's the end of the week. You just argued.
He's down because attendance at CroftCon was in the toilet this year.
Hey, Hodgins.
Also,
whatever.
coincidentally,
Longevity that's
CroftCon
important.
was held.
That's this podcast.
I told you I was busy that day.
Coincidentally, CroftCon was held in a toilet. I don't know what that means. The thing is, I want us to do a live good, bad, or bullshit at some.
I know you do. It's always been a thing.
Do it
hey,
at a bar.
can I make an official announcement?
Oh yeah, sure. Oh, official announcement. Let me make a sound for you here.
Bam!
There you go. Bam. Official.
You just got daytime talk radio to Crofton.
So this is an announcement for those of you who watch the video feed on Twitch, which you can do. There's a video version of the show. I think, Bo, is it archived on YouTube as well?
Yeah, youtube.com. I think it's /goodbadbull, or it might be Good Bad Bull Show. But you can find the links at goodbadbull.com.
So here's the deal, video viewers. For the past 4 years of doing the show, you have got to look at the beautiful shelves behind me. Sometimes they were stocked with children's paint. Other times they were stocked with video games. Really, we've been through a lot together. These shelves, this desk, me. But as of next week, I am moving houses. That's right. You heard it here first.
What?
I am going to move to a new house. My whole family's going to come with me. We're going to live in this new house, and it's going to likely have a new backdrop here. So it's probably not going to be this anymore. This is the last episode that you will see this backdrop. So
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
Soak
not
your
the
in.
only one.
Let's give you some fanfare.
And,
Hooray! We're moving.
and I was going to say, for anyone interested in digging up an Easter egg, there's one episode where Crofton's background is a soiled mattress.
That's true.
You guys probably remember
That's
that.
true.
What episode is? If you find out what episode that was, we'll send you stickers. How about that?
Oh, I like that. Tell us which episode.
Challenge.
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah.
So the challenge is you had to listen to this entire episode, first of all.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
zero.
So, okay. Looks like we're done.
Looks like-
All right. I guess we'll end the show on that note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was-
There's some people in there. I see you guys in there. Faye Gwent, Fonz TV, Lord Shaper. I've got moderator privileges. I see you watching.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Thank
okay.
you, folks.
Good show tonight, guys. That was very entertaining. I hope. I know it was argumentative, but I hope nobody's pissed at me.
Well,
Oh,
no,
no.
it was a little bit funny because I was a little bit like, my bias is super strong, but Bo's like, my bias is strong. I'm right. Ah! Like they're awesome. I love this stuff.
You can always
I mean-
tell when I'm well rested for a show versus not, because on a show where I'm like tired, I'm just like, yeah. And then when it's a show when I'm pretty full of energy, I find I pick fights with one of you at some point in the show. It's always
My
tough.
favorite was when you decided to try to delegitimize our verdicts by saying that we never been to
Yeah.
convention, based on the fact first that
Like-
I opened this episode by saying I'd never been to conventions and my opinion should be taken with a grain of salt.
It was pretty
And
weak.
also,
I mean, to be
the-
fair,
the
like
fact that
1,000 grains
so
of
many
salt.
topics we've done on this show, you have no background or history or
Yeah,
info
no.
in it, and now you're like, I have a little bit of background in this one, so fuck
Look.
these guys.
Yeah. Look, I'm an entertainer.
And then
I
the
wanted to
cherry on the cake
entertain.
being that I gave him the verdict he wanted of my own accord, and it feel like
That was incredible. That was one of the best moments in GBB history.
If
At least
I
for
had
me, I was
known
like,
you-
what?
if I had known you were going to say good, I also would have said good.
Yeah,
just
I know.
so like
That's the best part is I knew that.
Well, wouldn't have known what to do with that. He would have been like, "Oh, it's so much good." I'm in agreement. But anyway,
That show was awesome. All right. Thank you, chat room, for hanging out. Love that you were here. Good, better bullshit. We're not pod fading. We are here.
Come-
New show this
come
week.
to our live convention.
I mean, I hope we could do this someday. But anyways, thank you. What is it? Live long and prosper. And have Spock sex.